Well, welcome everybody. We'll have some people kind of trickling on, but we want to respect your time. We know how busy everybody is, even though somehow life has gotten slower, it still stays busy. I don't know how it's quite possible, but we are really excited to spend some time with you guys. A lot of you all on this call are our most faithful and wonderful partners, and we think you deserve a sneak peek of what you've helped us accomplish this past year. Some of you probably know that our fiscal year runs from July 1st to June 30th. So we're kind of doing a year review for what we've done from that last fiscal year, and then really want to talk a bit more about what's coming for RAC in the year to come. COVID, of course, makes everything a little bit different and has really changed some of our strategy and what we're focusing on, yet our core mission remains the same of connecting people to care and helping people find freedom from disordered eating. So that is what we're going to keep doing, even if it's through a computer screen and not in the flesh in person in our office. So you'll be hearing tonight from myself, from Kristen Soto, and from Meredith Riddick, but we'll do those introductions momentarily. First, just the fun housekeeping IT things. You've all been muted so that whenever we're speaking, we're heard clearly. I am pet sitting and my dogs feel very needy. So if you hear some barking, I'll try to keep them at bay, but just so you guys know. But everyone else kind of keep yourself muted so that we can be heard clearly. At the end of the presentation, we're going to try to get through it in about 30 minutes. So we have a lot of time for discussion and questions because we want to hear from you guys. To make sure you're seeing the speaker during the presentation, make sure your screen's set to active speaker view. You can look at whoever you want to look at, but if you want to see the person who's speaking, you have to change your view to active speaker view. Kristen will be moderating our Q&A after the presentation, a woman of many talents. And any questions that you have, you can send to her. If you want to privately share a question or a thought, you can send them to her using the private chat feature, and we'll go over them once we get through kind of our main portion here of our presentation. So many of you guys know me. I'm Christy Dondera-Betway. I'm the Executive Director for RAC. I've been on staff now for 7.5 years, and I volunteered for 3 years prior, which has been amazing. I love this work. I love this organization. I plan to hopefully never leave. We also have Meredith Riddick here. I'll just introduce everybody to make it easier if that's okay. You guys can talk in a minute. We'll be sharing through, but Meredith is our Clinical Program Director. She's a dream. She moved here from Texas a little less than a year ago, I think now, maybe just a year ago now. And she's a certified eating disorder specialist, an LTC. She has her own private practice out in Virginia and also takes clients in a couple different states. And she has been such a gift to us and our clients. She's been with us for a little less than a year. And then Kristen Soto, who you can also see here, our lovely Director of Things for Tonight, Director of Partnerships as well. She's been with us for almost 3 years and does all kinds of exciting things with our community partnerships, our events, our social media, and kind of everything else in between. I don't know how else we describe you, Kristen, but Kristen's my other half in so many ways. That's how we mostly described her. So she's been great. It was just the two of us for a couple of years, and we're growing. We're up to a staff team of 3 now, so we're growing, but it has been really, really exciting. So just quick overview, you guys know us. We're here to provide affordable treatment and effective community education to help people with mental health challenges and eating disorders find freedom. We are unique. We think we're special because we actually provide direct clinical care, all on sliding scale. Since we're a nonprofit, we're able to really cut the cost for people who need help in accessing services. We also combine community support and faith support for people who are interested in the faith perspective. And we really just try to make it accessible to all. And we really believe in collaborating with like-minded people. We've got a lot of really gifted clinicians on the call who we love referring to and love partnering with. And we believe that recovery takes a village, and we're really glad to be a part of that village. So we're just going to do a quick review of our fiscal year. Like I said, that was July 1st to June 30th, and all that we accomplished. And obviously, the big thing that happened in the middle of that fiscal year, towards the end of the fiscal year, was COVID. So COVID changed a lot for us, but it did not slow us down. If anything, it has sped us up because the need for our services has been so great since COVID hit, and even it's been great all along. So we talked a lot about how we wanted to grow our impact in this last year, and we did it. So we increased our number of clients served by 84% this year compared to last fiscal year. which has been such a gift. We have the most amazing clients. I wish you could meet them all individually, but you know, HIPAA, you can't. But take my word for it, we have some amazing people who we get to serve through our group therapy programs and our support programs as well. We've also become a staff of 3 this past year, which is really exciting. We hope to grow to a staff of 5 in the next year from now, but we are growing and it is exciting. And obviously with COVID-19, we've had a lot of, dare I say, pivots in these unprecedented times, you guys. Just 2 buzzwords for those of you who were looking out for those buzzwords. And the great thing about COVID is that it's actually advanced our work. Like I said, it didn't slow us down. It helped us to think creatively and strategically. We moved all of our programs virtually within a matter of days once things really hit back in March. And virtual programs are working, they're effective, they're affordable, and they're scalable. And we're really excited to see what will happen in the next year for us as we grow these virtual programs and reach more people. And we need to reach more people because we have had a record-breaking number of program applications. Our applications have been about 4 times what they were in the year prior. And there are a lot more people who need our help, people who are finding us. And we're excited to keep growing our programs to keep reaching these people. So another reason we started to grow is we've gotten some fancy media coverage this last year. So many of you all hopefully saw our story in the Washington Post when Kristen sends our recap. We'll make sure we link to that article in case you missed it. It really did a great job of explaining our program and our unique services and how we really come together as a community to break bread with clients and help them heal. We had some coverage from BuzzFeed News once COVID hit. I was on NBC's Snapchat news station, which turns out I had to download Snapchat for, which I hadn't had before. So the great thing about COVID has been it's actually really increased the voice on mental health issues, and people are starting to realize this is an issue we need to start talking about. A CDC study just showed it surveyed, I think, 5,000 adults a few weeks back. And of those 5,000 adults, 2 in 5 said they were struggling with significant mental health concerns when that number previously was believed to be more like 1 in 5. So since COVID hit, there's at least double the amount of people that are starting to see some of their own mental health challenges. I'm sure you guys have seen that with yourselves or with your clients. So we're excited that this is becoming more of a conversation, but there's a lot more work to do. And we've also been able to get a little bit of coverage in Verily magazine, trying to help educate people on how to get help for themselves or their loved ones. So here are all our responses. I mentioned we had a virtual shift. COVID's been really tough for people with disordered eating and mental health challenges, the isolation, the uncertainty, the financial barriers that have crept up for people. And the good news is people are still reaching out for help, and virtual programs really work. So we've been excited to see how effective they are, how people still feel really connected to each other virtually. And we're planning now to grow virtual programs state by state as we can for our clinical programs that are limited by state licensure with clinicians, and then also growing some nationwide programs that are more support programs, so not clinical treatment programs, but more of the supportive programs. We're looking at growing more of theirs so they're available to people across the entire nation. And that's been really exciting because, you know, the internet has really opened up who we can reach and how we can reach people. So we're continuing to work on growing all of those pieces. All right, so our clinical program impact. So for the last fiscal year, again, July 1 to June 30th, we actually helped 150 people with treatment referrals, people who often came to us for help for the first time or found us through a Google search or came to one of our community events and asked us, hey, you know, I think I have some disordered eating stuff, I need help, what do I do? And we were able to give these referrals to these clients. We also received 105 direct applications for our recovery programs and services. And we currently have a capacity of about 40 clients a week, but we received 105 applications for those programs. And we started a new monthly therapy and support group for moms, which has been going amazingly well. We're always trying to help people that might be falling through the cracks and need more support and need more accountability. And so we feel like moms who are seeking recovery are really one of those groups who need some special attention and extra support. And especially during COVID, being a parent and working and suddenly becoming a teacher or whatever's happening for people has made things that much more complicated. We also created our first ever faith-based clinical therapy program called Set Free, which is going to be a long-term virtual program. So all of our programs that were in person are temporarily moved virtually, and many of which will go back to in person. But the good news is we are now planning on growing virtual programs that will stay virtual in the long term. So we're able to reach people not just who can commute to our office space in Arlington, Virginia, but people across the entire state of Virginia. So it's really opened up our breadth and our reach. And like I mentioned earlier, we did serve 84% more clients, up from 38 to 70 clients, and provided almost 3,000 hours of therapy services directly to clients, and conducted over 500 supportive meals as well. So these are unique and really impactful services for our clients. And you guys have helped us do some amazing things this last year.
So thinking about the community impact, we've been able to do some really cool things in the community as well. We have educated 775 community members, even with everything that happened with COVID. So we were able to hold our educational events. We partnered with local clinicians and treatment centers to hold continuing education events for providers in our area and across the nation. We partnered with churches, and we were just able to continue to do some really cool stuff to help spread the word about the eating disorder support that's available and resources in these different communities. So prior to COVID, we were able to hold some of our annual events that we do every year. So we were able to do our Grub for Good 5K fun run with our partners, Potomac River Running in DC. We were able to have our Building Bridges event, which so many of you were at. It was our last hurrah before everything shut down. And then following COVID, much like our clinical programs, we were able to move a lot of the community events that we had planned to do in person to virtual. So we partnered with Recovery Centers of America to hold a continuing education event for clinicians that reach people across the nation. We had over 260 clinicians at that event, which was just a really cool experience to connect with so many people. We partnered with Dr. Dana Herron, who is a therapist in DC, to hold an event for loved ones that just talked about how romantic partners can provide support for their spouses who are seeking recovery or in recovery. And we partnered with one of our amazing volunteers who recently started doing recovery coaching, and she talked a little bit about how to handle COVID and self-care. Additionally, we were able to work with the National Eating Disorder Association to host we did a Facebook Live video with them that talked about finding grace amidst COVID-19. And so Christy and I were able to go on and do a little interview together and just talk about how eating disorders are affecting this community, share some resources that are available, and just talk about giving yourself grace in this season, which was a really important message, especially when everything first started and we were all just trying to figure out how to navigate this new normal that we were experiencing. Additionally, we were in the middle of one of our new ID courses when we moved everything to virtual. So we were able to successfully transition that course to a virtual group. And then we ran our first completely virtual new ID course in June, and we had 18 participants from across 9 states. So it really showed us how we were able to now reach new people with these new virtual resources. And so over these past couple of months, we've had not only current clients, but even alumni share what this support and what these programs have done for their recovery and what they've meant to them as they navigate and transition through this season. So one of our former clients shared, "If I had been stuck at home for 2 months during a pandemic a few years ago, I can only imagine the level of despair, panic, and spiraling I would have experienced around food, the closing of local gyms, and my overarching body image. Over a year after leaving my Bridge to Life group with Rock Recovery, I'm so thankful and relieved to say that I'm still okay. even when it feels like the world is falling apart. Thanks to Rock, I have the capacity to look around me and see what is actually happening in the world because I am no longer absorbed with the thoughts that accompany my disorder. I'm so grateful for my time with Rock. And this was just such a sweet message to get and so exciting to hear, like, the power of that I'm still okay because you guys jumped up to support, because we had volunteers reaching out and when COVID happened saying, what can I do to help? We had people who gave financially. Our supportive groups and our programs were able to stay in place, and we were able to continue to serve. So this was just a really cool message that we wanted to share, to show that these programs are not only supporting the people we're serving now, but the people that we've served even over a year ago. And then, as you know, Rock is committed to continuing to bridge both the existing gaps that were there and these new gaps that have come up with COVID-19. So from March to May, we saw a 420% increase in increase in program applications. And so it was immediate, this need that, people needed our services, people needed this kind of support. And while the program applications, the inquiries have balanced out a little bit, we're still seeing at least double what we've seen in years past with people reaching out and in need of support on a daily basis. And so in response to this, we will continue to provide these affordable clinical programs and continue to serve the whole person by providing the clinical care and offering the community resources and offering the spiritual care. And we have an urgent opportunity to serve more people than ever. And with this new virtual support, we now have the capacity to be able to start to do that. So we're excited to see what will happen over this next year as we focus on expanding in DC, and we focus on expanding nationwide and bringing these new support services to our communities.
So some of you may have seen this report that came out, I think, earlier in the summer by STRIPE, which is the Strategic Training Initiative for the Prevention of Eating Disorders, in kind of collaboration with Deloitte and the Academy for Eating Disorders. And it was this really thorough report that talked about the social and economic cost of eating disorders, particularly in the United States. So we're just going to highlight a couple of things here, but highly recommend looking for the full report if you're interested in a lot of this. So we know that roughly 9% of Americans will have an eating disorder at some point in their lifetime. And we also know that eating disorders do not discriminate. Like maybe years ago, we kind of thought traditionally it was like the teenage girl or the young adult woman, typically Caucasian, typically upper middle class, who has a restrictive eating disorder. And the reality is that's not the case. Eating disorders are starting younger and also starting at older ages. And we know that all races, people of color can have eating disorders, although people of color with eating disorders are about half as likely to be diagnosed or to receive treatment. And so lots of individuals treated by eating disorders of all kinds. And then in the report, they kind of broke it down into even more of the economic cost of eating disorders. There we go. Yeah, so they kind of have even more of these numbers kind of depending based on treatment or families or in the workplace or for individuals. And so it just, some of these numbers are just so incredibly difficult to look at whenever you put these together, because, often you think about eating disorders and just the medical complications and going to the hospital or going to treatment. And for some people, it's going to treatment multiple times. You think I work with a lot of clients who kind of over time, say that it's hard to concentrate at work or things like that, or they have to take sick time, even just to go to appointments to do that. And certainly we know in the loss per group, that 23.5 billion with individuals and families, that caregivers provide 6 weeks of informal unpaid care per year. So I see that a lot with the parents of my teens or young adult clients where parents or caregivers are still very much involved in the process, which is a wonderful thing and very costly. And so this is one of the things, you know, and one of the big reasons why ROC is here and why we do what we do. And again, why we're so grateful for all of your support with our clinical programs is because we are really wanting to break down a lot of those barriers to treatment so that hopefully we can work on the prevention of having to go into the hospital, and so we can make outpatient appointments or groups much more affordable and accessible to everyone. So we wanted to kind of share a little bit more about our clinical programs. And so currently this is really what we do. And I'm going to kind of name some of our therapists just to kind of give shout outs to them, even though they're not here. But our Bridge to Life group is kind of a hallmark program for us. And Emily is one who currently runs the program. And right now it's virtual, but she used to run the one that was in DC. And it's a 3-hour group that meets weekly, led by a clinician, by a therapist. It includes a meal exposure component and, of course, the therapeutic process time. So currently virtual, it will go back into in-person at some point, so I think it'll be a while. And then Kate runs our body image group. She's done this for a while, and it's a weekly 90-minute therapy and process group that's kind of for those a little bit more, I would use the word kind of advanced, in an advanced stage of the recovery process, to work on the body image kinds of things. And so they work on body image acceptance in that group, and that group is pretty consistently full. I think we have room maybe for 1 or 2 more clients right now, but I know for part of the summer we were on a wait list. And so Kate just does an amazing job with that group. Kate also does our Set Free Therapy group, which is a weekly 1-hour therapy group that kind of integrates faith into our clients' recovery journeys. And so those are kind of like the kind of set groups that we have right now. In addition, we have some services. We kind of began to see that more and more clients were coming to us for individual therapy. And while in general, we do prefer to refer out for individual therapy to a lot of the therapists that we know in the community. So we definitely try and set them up with someone local if we can. But if there's someone, for example, who cannot find an affordable or an accessible solution there, we do offer our wonderful counseling intern, Jenny, who is amazing. She's currently in a graduate program and wants to work with eating disorders. And this will be her 2nd full semester with us. And Jenny is wonderful. And I want to say right now she has maybe 6 individual clients. And she also runs our monthly group for moms. So I'll tell you guys more about that. So for clients who we can't find them individual therapists who kind of are able to work with certain rates or whatever, we will see them. For other clients who maybe do an intake or kind of an initial phone call with us that our program, just for whatever reason, just isn't the best fit for them at this time, we will absolutely go out of our way to find something that is. Or sometimes what happens is Christy runs the new ID group, or a couple of the most recent new ID groups. And so those are community-based. So as you guys saw, we had a lot of clients who were there in different states. I think we had up to 9 states. And so unfortunately, we don't have therapists licensed in all of those states. So we weren't able to necessarily have those clients who showed interest in our programs if we didn't have a therapist licensed in their state. But we, you know, all the emails going back and forth, hey, does anybody know a therapist or a group in these states? And so we'll definitely, we try and stay very well connected with our community resources and partners just across the United States, just to kind of know what are the resources out there so we can share those with clients or those calling in. I mentioned Jenny. She does our monthly group for moms. She's been doing that since, I think, March was our first one. So that was, initially we were going to be in person with that, or maybe April was the first one. Initially we were going to be in person, but that one ended up starting out virtual, and it's continued to be virtual, of course. But also we've kind of noticed that it meets on the first Saturday of the month. we've also noticed that this actually seems to be a really convenient option for moms. It cuts down on the commute. You don't have to worry about finding parking and all that. And so I think that we have 7 moms in that group right now, and it's a very connected group. I had the pleasure of kind of sitting in on the first few. Very connected group. They just really kind of gel so well with each other. And then Kate will also run our new Breaking Bread virtual program, which is starting soon. We're really excited about this because this is going to be kind of like a mini bridge to life. So except it's going to be 2 hours, but it is going to include the meal support component and the process group kind of after that. So 2 hours on Sunday evenings, and it's going to be virtual only right now for the state of Virginia. And so we're really excited because a lot of our college students are heading back to college right now. They're going back to Virginia Tech or UVA or different colleges. And so this is going to be a really wonderful option for them to not have a break in their treatment, that they could still do something like this that supports the individual therapy and other things that they're doing. So again, a big part of our clinical program, hoping to really reduce a lot of those economic costs that are going on by being really accessible and affordable. And then with all of that and everyone's just incredible support, we've got goals with expanding. And I always talk to my clients about, I think skills of adaptability and flexibility are so important in the recovery process, but also for us as individuals and organizations and all that. So we are really trying to do our best to be flexible and adaptable as well. And that's one thing we found with the virtual programming, is that it works really, really well. And after we began getting a lot more inquiries and even people in other states, kind of as Christy has talked about, we kind of tried to see, okay, what can we do in other states? And so and even seeing our current services, how can we get those more in even kind of local areas like in Maryland and DC. So we're really hoping to kind of double the clients that we have right now over the next year. So we're going to continue doing the sliding scale individual therapy with our counseling interns for those who need it. I mentioned Jenny's continuing to do the monthly mom support group. We're going to be opening a body image therapy group, or we're going to be continuing the body image therapy group, Bridge to Life meal support, and then the set free group with the faith-based integration. And then kind of with that, we're going to also be adding in the teen body image therapy group that Kate is going to run. And I think that that's coming up really soon. I think it's this month or next month. And so Kate will be doing that. Emily is also available to do a body image therapy group and potentially a set-free therapy group in Maryland and DC, because that's where Emily is licensed. I have to brag a little bit on Emily because she does our Bridge to Life group, now virtual. And she went to Alaska on vacation for a little while, and just the way that the timing worked out, we had a longtime client in that group who was graduating, and just the way the timing worked out with that client's schedule and all of that, it ended up being the week that Emily was in Alaska and out of town, and Emily, again, they know each other really well and all that. So I just have to say that Emily took time out of her vacation to come to the group for about 30 minutes or so, because we always do a really lovely kind of like goodbye and all of that with clients who are graduating, and Emily took time out of her vacation to do that. And so it was and I was very privileged just to kind of be there just for that particular group, and I think so highly of her doing that. And these are the type of connections that are being made in our clinical services. And anyway, I know I'm probably talking too much, so I'll keep going. But and then we're expanding into California with therapist Elise, and we're really excited about her. She's got roots with rock, and she's an amazing eating disorder clinician, and she's available to start a body image therapy group there and a set-free therapy group, and we're hoping to do that hopefully sooner than later. So that's our clinical program as of now, and our hopes and goals for the next year.
So in addition to that, in the words of Meredith, when it comes to the community events, we've got goals. So we're really excited about this idea of expanding nationwide. And Meredith alluded to this a little bit, but just to clarify, so our clinical services right now are limited to the areas where our therapists are licensed. So as we work over the next couple of months to grow our capacity to reach those states and expand on getting therapists who are licensed in those areas, we're really excited about this idea of focusing on serving people immediately. We want to get people the help that they need right now. And so that's where this nationwide support piece comes in. So in order to immediately help us serve people who are in need right now, people who are reaching out to us and don't have supportive resources in their community, we have a few things that we're going to be doing. So as I mentioned before, New ID, which is the 6-week recovery series that we do it about 4 times a year. And so that course worked really well virtually, allowed us to reach so many people. So we're going to continue to offer that course virtually and provide that faith-based support to people across the nation. Additionally, we will be adding on some chaplaincy services. So we'll have our chaplain, Jessica, who will come on, and she's working on creating a new monthly faith service for clients who are looking for additional support, as well as doing spiritual care sessions with them and offering time for prayer as well, just to continue to incorporate that faith component into recovery for those who need it. As so many of you know, Rock loves and serves all people. And so with all of our services, we do the best we can to care for the whole person. And then lastly, we're in the process of creating a new curriculum and some training plans for alumni. We have some amazing alumni who are really interested in working with us again and just kind of passing along the support and care that they received during their time in Rock recovery. So we'll have alumni who are working on leading support groups for people around the nation. And we have alumni all over the US who are excited about leading this group. So we're working to get that up and running within the next couple of months as well. And then additionally, with these new nation-wide services, we'll also focus on our community education and empowerment. And even though we can't meet in person as much as we'd love to, we're still going to continue to offer virtual support. So we'll still be doing the virtual community events and education, and we're finding unique ways to take those events that we did prior. So even though we can't do a 5K, we'll be doing a gentle movement class in a couple of weeks with one of our awesome volunteers who's agreed to lead that for us. And so we'll continue to provide these supportive resources. We'll continue to partner with our treatment center partners and individual providers to offer continuing education resources to providers in our community and across the nation. And then we'll continue to partner with churches as well to offer faith-based trainings and support for loved ones. Additionally, one of our newer virtual services is a corporate lunch and learn workshop. So this is a 45 to 90-minute presentation that's designed to bring corporate communities together to talk to their employees about the importance of caring for their mental health and practicing positive self-care. And so we recently worked with, we had 2 of these lunch and learn workshops over the past couple of months. We did one with Crank Frog and one with the women of AT&T, and it worked so well virtually. We had with the women of AT&T, we had about 50 women come and just listen to us talk about caring for your body, especially when you're working from home, you're connected to your computer all the time. And so we were able to offer these resources and to talk about what it means to educate them about intuitive eating, to talk about practicing mindfulness when it comes to your relationship with food and body image. So we're continuing to offer those virtually. And then additionally, like I said, we'll continue with our clinician education. So our next workshop I think that we're doing is a health at every size workshop that's going to be for clinicians who work with eating disorders. So we're really excited to continue to offer these programs even in a virtual setting.
All right, so time to talk about money, guys. So we're getting close to the end here. So back to the review. So we're kind of going back and forth between what we've done and what we want to do. And of course, it takes money to do it. So just so you guys can see here, a quick review of our finances from last fiscal year. We raised and brought in a little over $400,000, which is our biggest year yet. So $404,445. A lot of fours, just putting that together now. And then we spent just a little over $300,000, so $322,389. And Kristen mentioned, thankfully, we had our big annual benefit dinner, Building Bridges, Breaking Bread, on February 29th, right before all these things happened. A lot of you were there. We were so grateful. That really set us up well to end our year positively and solidly, to have the funding we need. We're able to get a little bit more of a reserve up. So one thing as we grow and we continue to grow and serve more clients, grow our staff, grow our impact, we want to make sure we also have a little bit of a safety net, because, you know, there might be a national pandemic or an international pandemic that could happen that you don't see coming. So we're really trying to gain stability financially so we can make wise choices and be able to project what's best for us, what's best for our clients. And we want to be ambitious. You know, we mentioned all these growth plans. We want to double our client capacity, and that takes funding to do it. And we're really excited to grow our budget to get there. So next slide. Here's what you can see. I wanted to give you guys a little glimpse into where we've been and where we're going. So you'll get this slide deck so you can look a little bit more in detail too on the actual numbers as far as where income was coming from, where expenses are going. But I do want to make sure we have some time for questions. So I'm going to breeze through this a little bit. But you can see here from fiscal year 18-19 to this past year that just wrapped on June 30th, we increased from about $265,000 to $322,000 in spending and expenses, which is a lot because we brought on a third full-time employee. And then this next year, we're planning on growing our budget to just under $500,000. So it's a big milestone for us to get to $500,000. We're really excited about it. We think we can do it. We need your help to get there, but this is what we want to do so we can grow our programs and double our impact, both locally in the DC metro area, where we're really focusing on Virginia, Maryland, and DC, and also as we do our nationwide support programs and look to grow our clinical programs across new states and new markets in the years to come. So here's what we plan to do. We got goals, guys. This is definitely the theme. We should have just named this We've Got Goals. Together, we plan to launch 5 new clinical recovery programs, so doubling our current capacity and building out a scalable model for future growth. We really want to be in at least 3 new states in the next couple of years. We're going to kind of see how COVID goes and make some ambitious plans from there, but we're not done yet. We're not finished yet. We're just strategically focusing right now. We're also planning on opening these new programs in California, which is our first test, 3 whole time zones away. And a big reason why we chose California is because we've built such strong partnerships there over the years, and our original program director, Elise Thibodeau, has now moved out there. So she's got the understanding of the program, she's bought into the Rock mission, and we think she's the perfect person to kind of carry the banner and help us break into a new market and serve more people. And we're also really excited, like Kristen mentioned, you know, because of the clinical barriers that we have with licensure, that will grow more slowly, even though we're being ambitious. But virtual support can be reached nationwide because it's not clinically bound. And so we're really believing that we can train people, get some great curriculum. We don't believe it will be a replacement for proper treatment, but it can be a first step that helps people really reach out for care and break isolation. And then once they reach out and we get them some support, then we can help funnel them into support in their own community, other virtual services, and hopefully help catch people who might otherwise go untreated and living in isolation. And then just here are our plans we've mentioned briefly. We really need to grow our staff from 3 to 5 so that we can have more capacity for this bandwidth, for this infrastructure. It takes humans to do programs. We have some great contractor support, like Meredith was mentioning, a lot of our clinical team. We have a lot of contractors. And we'd like to bring on some more employees to help have full-time dedication to this work. We're going to double the programs. We want to serve at least 20 new clients and community members a week with our support services, and educate and equip at least 1,000 people throughout the nation in the year to come as we continue to grow our reach. And just, you know, we love closing with a little warm fuzzy here, so we're getting close to the end here to wrap up. But this was a current client who just recently graduated, actually, and she shared this beautiful story with us, and this was just really encouraging for us, and I wanted to share it with you guys too, where she said, rock was really what I needed to heal and the most helpful thing for me in this season. I'm so grateful for the therapist who never gave up on me, even when it felt like everyone else did. And again, we love collaborating with other outpatient therapists, providers, residential programs in our area and across the nation. And we think Rock has some special secret sauce because we do give this gift of community. We do have this safe place, and we have really lovely people who are invested in each other, invested in our clients. So thank you for making this work possible. You're really helping people to heal. So if you want to continue to be involved with us and help more clients in the year to come, you can make a one-time gift to support our clients. A lot of people give in December at year end, and we are grateful. If you're able to give your gifts earlier, it will really help us plan how ambitious we can be and how soon we can be ambitious. So I'd love to talk to you about that, or see if you could give your gift early this year, or just consider us for a one-time gift. Like Kristen mentioned, we are doing these wellness workshops with corporations and organizations, and we would love to partner with you or your organization to bring that to help educate your people. We're also building our monthly donor club. It's called our Bridge Builder Club. It's very exclusive, and we would love for you to consider that as well. It's wonderful to have monthly supporters that help us kind of know what's coming in sustainably so we can make decisions as we look to scale our programs. And of course, social media, guys. Follow us on social media, share our work with your friends, share our events online, whatever you can do to help spread the word. We know that there's a lot of isolation and a lot of stigma still around mental health and eating disorders, and we break it by speaking up and speaking out. And we're really glad that you're here and that you're a part of that with us. And so now we have a little bit of time. Okay, so 15 minutes for questions. We're a little bit past curfew, but not too bad. So we would love to answer any questions you guys have about anything we covered here. You can ping them to Kristen individually through the private chat